Support for the Nature Museum is provided by Rose Pest Solutions, protecting homes, businesses, health, and the environment since 1860.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Curious by Nature. My name is Seth. I take care of the grounds and the plants here at the Nature Museum. I often get asked, do plants die during the winter? It's a good question. So let's go for a walk through the prairie and find out. I'm often asked if plants die in the winter because, as you can see, a lot of things are turning brown and appear dead. To answer that question, I'm going to talk about three different life cycles that plants typically use: the perennial life cycle, annual life cycle, and the biennial life cycle. I'm going to start with perennials. Perennials are plants that can live for many years. They may die to the ground in winter, but you even are more familiar with perhaps woody perennials such as trees and shrubs. Many trees and shrubs in our areas will lose their leaves over the winter, but as you know, the tree survives. With a woody perennial plant, at this time of year, most of them are busily taking carbohydrates and chlorophyll that they're processing into carbohydrates and withdrawing them in through the leaves and the stem tissue and down deep into the stem and the roots. And those sugars and starches will be stored until next spring, when the sap begins to flow back up the tree and buds are beginning to burst. The buds themselves remain alive at the tips of the branches. Many of them are covered with protective coatings, and they all contain different compounds that act as antifreeze to keep them from freezing solid in the winter. Aside from woody perennials, many other plants that you see in the prairie are perennial, but they don't have that woody trunk and woody root system to store carbohydrates through the winter. So what are they doing to survive? Well, they're going about the same process of pulling all that nutrients down into the ground, and they use what are called storage organs to keep that ready for the springtime. Many plants will use what are called rhizomes, which is a modified underground stem. This is a Canada goldenrod that I've pulled out, and you can see here the horizontal rhizomes spreading out from the center of the plant. These all contain a good deal of starches that the plant can use for growth in warmer times in the winter, and then when the spring arrives, many of these will form vertical stems once again, and the plant will be renewed. Another common strategy that plants use for surviving the winter is to put all of their resources into their seeds. This is what annual plants do. This plant is called beggar's ticks. It's Bidens polylepsis. And you can see that there's quite a number of dried flower heads here. The idea for annuals is to grow quickly, produce many seeds, and they tend to have a more shallow root system because they're not counting on surviving through the winter. In fact, they'll die and the progeny will live on in the form of seeds. The third major life cycle that plants use to survive the winter is the biennial life cycle. This is a parsnip that I just pulled out of the vegetable garden. Parsnip sprouts in the spring, grows throughout the summer, and late in the year begins to form this taproot, which is the storage organ that will provide the fuel for the plant to grow in the spring. Next spring, new leaves will emerge, and eventually, when temperatures warm up sufficiently, a stalk will arise containing the parsnip flowers. Those flowers will produce seeds, the seeds will fall, and the parsnip will then die off. So a biennial lives through 2 growing seasons and 1 winter. So we've seen how plants use different life cycles and strategies to survive the winter. But plants, for the most part, reproduce by seed. And that happens for annuals, perennials, and biennials. Here at the museum, fall is a time for us for seed collecting. We'll spend quite a bit of time harvesting seed from the prairie, especially seeds that we think might not fall back into the prairie itself, but might fall on the concrete or someplace kind of useless to us. We'll gather the seed up and spread them to parts of the prairie that might need a little more support. Or if we want to diversify a certain area, we might take some seed from one spot and put it in another. That's our show for today. Thanks for watching. There's so much to see and learn about outside, even as we head into the winter. Be sure to leave any questions you have in the comments and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we'll see you next time on Curious by Nature.